And we are a go.
All right, welcome. No, I can't do it. Somebody else do it.
Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Splitting Hairs with Max, Nicky, and Nickon. As usual, I'm Max.
I'm Nicky.
And I guess I'm Nickon.
That's right.
And together we're Max Nicky, and Nickon.
Okay, on this edition, our topic at hand will be cursing.
Or swearing.
Or swearing.
Not
Commonly.
cursing like I put a curse on you.
Right. But, yes.
Although I could get to that. No, I'm joking. We won't do that.
Well, that's an interesting thing to think about. Where did cursing come? Using cursing, does it have? Does the derivation of that?
I think
in this context, is it come from?
Well, I think
actual curses.
I think maybe when people said like, "I'm damning you to hell," that's like putting a curse on somebody.
That's it.
But people consider saying "damn" or "goddamn" a curse.
A curse.
Oh, and I have a fun story about that.
Okay, let's hear it.
Well, okay, so. Well, did you want to go? Okay.
Well, I have a story too.
Okay, well, so when we were in elementary school, and I didn't totally remember this, but my mom reminded us maybe a few years ago, but my mom came to pick us up at school.
Elementary
school, and we were maybe in third grade or something like that, and one of us was benched. One of us got
after
benched.
school,
benched on, and the supervisor benched us for something.
That's like detention or what?
Yeah,
it's just like you have to sit by yourself.
Timeout, basically.
It's like a timeout.
Yeah,
essentially.
Okay. And
after school on the yard. Yeah.
And my mom came up and asked the supervisor, "Why is he benched?" And he said, "Oh, he cursed. He said a bad word." And my mom said, "Oh, what did he say?" And he said, "Well, he said, 'God damn it.'" And my mom said, "Okay." And then she's thinking in her mind, and she relayed this to us, was that, God damn, that's... Because my mom's not religious at all, and she never thought of that as a bad word, or never taught us even that was a bad word.
She didn't think it was that big of a deal.
That was that big of a deal.
Right.
She did teach us she instilled in us not at a young age, not to say like the F word or the SH word or
B word. Your typical
ones, but for her, God damn it didn't really resonate as a curse word.
Yeah.
And so it was just kind of a funny, I never grew up thinking that as a curse word, and I still don't actually, personally.
Yeah, I mean, what do you mean by because like?
Well, hold on.
I don't find it offensive, but
somebody who's religious would. You're
like
taking the Lord's name in vain is how
sure,
somebody would.
But that's it for those who believe in.
Well, so I'll go. So this happened recently. My goddaughter, who is a little sweetheart.
Are you a godfather?
I'm a godfather. Yes, I'm not going to do it because you guys did it. But yes, I'm a godfather.
Well, you can be the Michael Corleone. You can do a younger.
It's just like a high pitched New Yorkie kind of.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, that's pretty good.
She's a sweetheart. She goes to Christian preschool.
Oh.
And so I was at their house a couple weeks ago, and I don't even know what I've been pretty good about not swearing around her, but at one point I was like, oh God. And then like, conversation goes on and all that kind of stuff. And then she takes me aside, like a few minutes later, she takes me aside.
The goddaughter.
Yeah. She's like, "You said a curse word earlier." And I was like, "I don't think I did. What did I say?" And she said, "G-O-D." I was like, I felt compelled. I corrected her. And I said, "That is not a curse word. That's not a curse word." And I hope my goddaughter's parents aren't going to listen or watch this, but
I'm saying God in of itself, it is not a curse word, but
if you're religious,
so saying, "Oh my God,"
but you are
in the church's eyes, I think that's a curse word.
Yeah, you're taking using the Lord's name in vain is the idea.
Okay,
right.
So
that's what they would say.
Let's just preface this by saying, and I don't know
about... ask me, a little silly.
I don't know about you, Nickon, but Max and I are obviously, we're not religious at all.
It is very obvious.
Yeah,
no,
yeah. And I don't know. I mean,
No, I'm not religious at all. And
Uh-huh.
we can talk about that at some point.
sure.
but-
I mean,
Well,
you
that's
grew
a-
up.
that's another topic.
You grew up
That's another topic.
with a Muslim background. I guess,
No,
or
not Muslim, and it's actually
Really?
kind of triggering to hear, like, to be presumed to be Muslim.
I'm sorry, I said
no,
that.
no.
then.
I mean, you're not. It's not.
Well,
your fault.
I know that you
Not
don't
triggering
celebrate
in
Christmas.
not
or-
triggering in like in like I feel harmed, but like it gives me a certain kind of a reaction, which we don't need to get into right now. But no,
We could talk about it in another episode.
another episode. But no, grew up mostly, what do you call it? Secular. Yes.
Okay,
Entirely
but you
secular.
didn't celebrate Christmas growing up.
We celebrated Christmas growing up just so because my parents didn't want my sister and I to feel left out.
Yes, that's so interesting.
But the
Yes.
way that we practiced it was so different than everybody else that it made us feel even more left out.
Oh,
you know?
really?
Oh, really?
Yeah, because like we, like at a certain point, we kind of gave up on getting a Christmas tree, so we would just like decorate one of the house plants with a bunch of lights and ornaments. And my sister and I, we knew something was different.
Well,
So
okay.
it's kind of interesting. Our dad, who's Jewish,
Yeah.
his family, they grew up celebrating Christmas because it was just
Everybody in the area.
Sure, yeah.
He grew up in St. Louis.
Yeah.
I don't think has a very large Jewish population. Do they? I don't think so, but maybe not at the time. But anyway, in any event, it was done in a very secular way.
Sure, yeah.
Because that was just a thing you did. You know?
Okay,
Right.
So you guys, we're really veering off topic here.
We are,
but
but-
I just should.
But wait, hold, let him finish it. What he was
Okay.
going to say.
Oh,
well, no,
I
it was
forgot.
he finished the God thing. The
The God, the
you said-
God,
Oh no,
and then I think it's silly. Yeah, we can talk about religion some other episode.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
I just okay. So if you're new to Splitting Hairs, the Splitting Hairs podcast, the way we do things here is there's always a moderator or a judge, and the two other hosts pick a side in the debate, and so and this is
regardless of whether or not they agree with the debate, what they're going to debate.
And
Yeah.
we all reserve the right to break character at any
Exactly.
point.
And the moderator, and today I, Nicky, will be playing the part of the moderator. I definitely will at points break that role and offer up my own opinions about things. And
Well, way to give the ending away.
oh, well, you don't know how. Maybe that was the trailer, but you don't know how it really is going to end.
Ooh, good point.
Oh, it's a surprise ending.
Maybe I by the end I will only remain a moderator.
and now nobody knows what to expect.
Yeah.
So.
Well, maybe it's some sort of M. Night Shyamalan kind of ending. And
M. Night Shyamalama Ding Dong. I was watching this interview with Quentin Tarantino before, and he was rating his top 20 movies from 1993 to 2009, and Unbreakable was one of them. And he said, the next movie on here is Unbreakable by M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong.
What a goof.
Anyway, so today's topic, as we mentioned before, is cursing / swearing. Do we want to get any station business out of the way beforehand?
station business.
Just want to let you all know that if you're new to the podcast, please, if you like the podcast, please rate and review us on whatever platform you're listening on. It really helps with
Please.
getting more listeners and subscribers our way. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. And one more thing to promote. Sorry, a lot of shameless self-promotion.
We're eating through the tape, guys.
But we are. Real quick, we also, if you're thinking about last minute Christmas presents, we have a Max Nicky t-shirt for sale. You can go find that on maxnicky.com, okay?
Is it holiday themed or no?
It's not. It's
No,
year round, so you can wear it year round.
You can wear it
Right,
around,
cool.
yeah.
Sweet. I got nothing. I'm promoting nothing. I have accomplished nothing in the last 52 weeks. No t-shirts with my face on it.
Maybe there should be a
this is
Splitting Hairs
kind of
t-shirt
a wake-up
eventually.
call for me. Yeah. Oh, yeah, maybe. That's a great idea.
But let's get into it, guys. So, what side? So, I'm the moderator here. Max, what side are
So
you
I
taking?
guess as we discussed, in general, I don't curse at all.
And Nicky, I don't either. If you can't tell the difference between Max and Nicky's voice on this.
And Nickon,
I'm a historical cursor.
right?
But
But
I'm trying to curse a
You're a
little
historical
less.
cursor, meaning you
curse
curse about Benjamin Franklin and
Bring it out.
well, no, you use curse words from the past that were once curse words. Can't sarn it.
ye
or something.
can't call me that, you you fiddly, or I don't know.
Billy Goat. I think that was a. I think that's something that a Bach.
Did you call me a billy goat?
I think Bach once got mad at a guy that critiqued one of his compositions, and I think called him what translated to a billy goat.
Billy goat.
I think that was what I learned in Bach class.
Anyway, but Nickon will be taking the part of...
Nickon feels that he should be cursing less, and Max, more recently, to himself, when he's getting really stressed out about life, has been cursing to himself.
And same with Nicky here, actually.
Maybe feels... Well, I'm not sure if I totally feel that that's okay, but I will be taking the side that maybe it is okay.
Maybe it's okay to let off a little steam by just cursing to yourself even. Or if you're in your own car in traffic, if you have some road rage, maybe it's a good thing to let out the steam by just cursing at the top of your lungs.
Maybe it is. We'll find out. We will find out.
All right, so let's get into who wants to start here. And Nicky, by the way... It feels the same way about Max, but I will be taking...
and Nicky's the moderator.
I'm the moderator.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And also, I think people can tell the difference between your guys' voices. So
Can you
don't
tell
have to
the
speak in
difference?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a difference there, but some people, for some reason, can't. But
I mean, it's all arbitrary. It's all audio. No, there's a distinction between you guys.
there's also the way I mix the recording. Max is going to be on the left side. I'm on the right side, and Nickon is in the middle.
You can add like a higher pitch to Max's voice if you feel like
you can detune it.
EQ. Anyway, who wants to start? Nickon, do you want to start with your argument for why
I think
you and people should be cursing less in general?
I think cursing is it's lazy. It reflects it reflects an inarticulate mind and approach to conversation. You can't say that early on.
You're
betraying your bias.
Breaking character.
You're making good points. You're convincing the moderator here.
It'd be funny if, like, every time we make an argument, the moderator's like, "Hey, I agree."
Just like whispering it into the mic. But perhaps even more importantly, okay, so sure, it's a negative reflection on yourself, but I do think that it makes the world a worse place. Even if you're doing it in your own head to yourself without like aiming it at anybody, it's like the creation of a negative thing in the universe that didn't exist, and that ripples into reality in different ways.
Have you thought about this already? Because that was a very articulate, well put.
No notes.
And notice that he
argument.
didn't curse, which means he's being very articulate.
Yeah.
But
Let me
counter
argument here. Counterpoint. Here we go. I will say though, sometimes as you get older and older, the stresses of life bear down on you more and more, and you need a way to let that steam off. And it's not good to bottle that up. And sometimes a curse word it has this sort of. Not only is it just it has the. Well, you could just let steam off with a curse word. There's a certain
power.
Yes, there's a certain power and a certain oh boy, see, I'm inarticulate. Maybe I should stop cursing.
Look at what all this cursing has done to you.
Maybe you should start cursing to fill the space.
There is a certain power in the I guess the phonemes, the phonetic quality of certain curse words allow for you to release that rage in a way that won't help that. And if you can release that to yourself, it won't ripple. You won't bottle that up, and that negative energy won't be put out and ripple to the other people.
I got what you're saying,
you know?
But
okay.
Is that the most effective way of processing that energy?
Not only that, there will be no.
This is him moderating.
Not only that, but I'm just posing the question.
Yeah.
Don't you think that cursing is very much a learned thing, and it's not necessarily, you know, these learned curse words are, you're taught that these are bad, and that to release the steam, to release the stress, you need to say these bad words rather than finding, as Nickon said, a more effective way.
Well, forget effective. Okay, so is
and do you agree with that or disagree?
well, listen, okay. So I think that fits into what I was going to say, which is that are there other ways to process that frustration or whatever it is? Somebody cuts you off. That are not only as effective or as efficient or whatever you want to say, but actually could convert that energy into something more positive. So I'm thinking of a specific friend, Paul Walsh, if you're listening.
Wow. I hope he is. He's not a good friend if he's not listening.
Yeah, that's true.
And you should therefore curse him.
So yeah. Whenever he has like a little list of words he uses that are they're real words. So like if somebody cuts you off, say toilet instead of the F word. And that is not only, I mean, it's phonetically, it's something, and maybe it's not as satisfying as FUCK, but it is an effective sounding word, and it's hilarious. Like hearing someone say toilet out of frustration it's funny to me. So like, whereas I would have been exposed to him saying something like, whatever, the F word. Look at how good I'm doing at not swearing, by the way. Saying the F word and like, then I have to, I don't know, I take that in just as like a bystander. Instead of that, I'm hearing him say toilet, which is it's never not funny when he says toilet out of frustration.
It's interesting you say that, Nickon, because Max, Max, our older brother Brent, and I all have our own words that we use in place in as a placeholder for a curse word. So, for example, Max will say something like, instead of the F word, he'll say "Funk me boots in Hohenstraffenhausen."
Hosen.
Hosen. Funk me boots in Hohenstraffenhausen. And my older brother will say "Funk Delphonics" or something like that.
I got the word funk. To say funk, actually, that came from our older brother to use that in place. I mean, when you're younger, okay, our mother
We're
taught us to say fudge or something.
That's right, which is, that's a classic.
But it can become funny. It becomes funny to say something like that, but it comes.
It becomes it's like an expressive, creative way. Like you're putting something interesting out into the world.
I mean, our older brother came up with that we used for quite a while, schnip. Instead of saying the SH word, we say schnip. And in fact, he came up with a bit. Basically, he was appearing on Lopez Tonight when that was a show. And he had a bit that normally he used curse words on stage with, but he couldn't say those.
It was in a character.
It was in a character, and so
it wasn't the Russian alphabet.
His Russian alphabet bit. If you haven't,
that has to. Here's an argument. We'll get into that in just a sec. But that obviously needs to. You need the curse word for that.
But he came up with effective placeholders for those curse words. So instead of saying the B word or the SH word, he would say, "Man, brick you, man, schnip, brick you." He said brick you instead of.
Is this when he when he was a substitute teacher? Because I feel like I've heard.
Yes, it was a substitute teaching thing, and on Lopez Tonight, so he didn't want to be bleeped out.
Right.
He rather chose different words to express
which makes it sound funnier. And actually, I think George Lopez, he picked up on what he was doing, and I think he commented to him after. He's like, "I thought that was funny that you did that."
It makes you stand out in a positive way. Right. Whereas I know people who I'm not going to say they are dumb people, but they sound dumb because of how much they
I'm telling those people on you.
Hey, you know who you are, too.
Hey, Nickon is calling himself out here, I suppose.
And honestly, no. So actually...
not me.
No, that's my litmus test. It's like, and that is actually, I think, what was my catalyst for deciding... If I sound anything like this guy, I need to swear a lot less because it's just... He sounds like an idiot.
Just to break character for a second, that is a big reason why growing up I didn't curse, was I would see especially in middle school when it became, I feel like, yes, people in elementary school started cursing around me, kids, but in elementary school, when you hit those teenage years, I felt like it ramped up even more.
Interesting.
And I would see people...
So you were more emotionally evolved.
Yeah.
as a younger person
No,
than I was.
In certain aspects, but in
certain
certain aspects,
I
no.
was
In
also
certain
very
aspects, I'm
immature.
still emotionally stunted. You know.
Sure, I mean, I don't know. We can get into that. That's another episode.
Well, anyway, but I would see people.
Should be every time we say, "Oh, that's another episode."
Yeah,
we should
mark
be writing
that.
it down.
I would see people use the F word. It was as though it was filler because they were not articulate enough to express themselves with other words. And yes, it seemed also, as you said, there was something hackneyed about it as well.
See,
it seemed
yeah.
that everyone was doing it. So not only did I not like it because it sounded inarticulate, but it also sounded inarticulate because it was like some sort of sheep mentality. Like everyone was doing that same thing, and I just thought, can you just express yourself in a more unique way? I just thought that in my head that this is just like everybody else, and it I don't know. I guess it's part of me, like our last week's episode about hipsterdom.
Yeah.
How I just kind of
Actually, I looked it up.
well,
The correct word would be hipsterism. Anyway, go on.
I like
and-
hipsterdom.
I
Me
like
too. I like that.
hipsterdom, too.
But there's actually a word called hipsterism, and it's the state of being a hipster. Anyway, go
Is
on.
that right? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, in any event,
when I was writing the description of,
I just
anyway,
thought
go on.
there was something. I always kind of, to me, I guess growing up, that triggered me, I guess, if you will. Just something, not in a really serious way, but it put a bad taste in my mouth when people would all just, I guess, I didn't like the idea of following the footsteps of other
Okay,
people.
and now go
reflects-
back and you're back into
That
character.
reflects a very evolved mind because, let's give a little context maybe on our journeys around swear words.
Sure, because I have something to say. Go on.
So my origin story goes back to when I was like, I don't know, 4, just learning to spell. And I don't know. I've
And all
always
you
been-
could spell was F-U-C-K.
Well, I was always fascinated. As soon as I heard,
I'm joking, but-
as soon as I heard swear words, I was fascinated by them. And I wanted to learn more. Like I wanted to learn more about swear words, and I wanted to learn more swear words. I don't know why. And so I was about 3 or 4, and I have a distinct memory of being in the back of my dad's car, and he's just driving. I would ask him like how to spell certain things. I'd be like, "How do you spell car?" or whatever. And he'd tell me, and I distinctly remember one time asking him, "What does FUK spell?" And he was like, "Well, that's not a word." So I was like trying to get him to say the F word. But I couldn't spell it because I didn't learn how to spell it until,
and he didn't want to say it's actually spelled F-U-C-K.
exactly.
That's a good tactic he used was like, well, that's not a word actually. And he was right.
He's
It
like,
isn't not a word.
try again. Because my dad to this day hates like bad language in general. He hates it when I swear.
Interesting.
So here-
No, Max,
Okay,
because I want to say
So
something.
maybe it's like, maybe my fascination with it is like something of like
Rebellion.
the rebellion is more important to me than feeling like a sheep. Or I did, because it didn't even occur to me that all these other people are swearing.
Right.
Great point. So here's
yes,
the thing.
I was
For
going to
me,
mention us. Yeah.
Our dad
cursed
a lot when we were growing up. And in fact, maybe,
So maybe it was a form of
subconsciously for
rebellion
us, it
for
was a form of rebellion for us to not curse. There's that, but also I have a specific story.
That is interesting. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
I have
Yeah.
a specific story though
But I will-
that I
just
want to
to-
mention.
Just to finalize, just to finish the combination of parents and children and swearing and all that. A lot of my friends growing up swore very freely around their parents, like very casually, never got in trouble for it. And
Wow,
anything.
that's
Oh
really
no,
weird.
that's not
And that was strange to me
Very strange
very
to me.
strange to us
as well. So as soon as I don't remember what age I think I was like 18 or 19 when I first swore in front of my parents.
Oh, really?
And
And
since yeah.
And did it feel very weird?
It felt weird, but then in their not reprimanding me, it wasn't the first time I swore. Maybe it was the first time I swore in front of them without them like.
feeling like there was any repercussions.
Yeah,
to it.
yeah. It was jarring, but it was kind of like, oh man, I guess I'm an adult now.
Well, and that's
like a rite of passage.
Now a voiceover comes on, and that's the day I became an adult. Like,
Right.
That's
like
the day
a
I
Wonder
grew up.
Years
It's like
kind
the
of
Wonder Years.
thing.
Yeah.
So I have a story.
Wait, no, just before you hit to that story, I just wanted to mention the thing is our older brother and sister did curse more often. So
they did?
Our parents didn't have to worry about us. They did punish them, but making them do standards. You know what standards are?
No, what's that?
They would have the bad words or the phrase they use with the bad word. They would have to write that like hundreds of times on a piece of paper.
That's called
was
standards?
Like, yeah,
Okay.
writing
Like
standards.
the Bart Simpson.
Yeah, exactly, like the Bart
Exactly,
Simpson.
like the Bart
Yeah,
Simpson
yeah.
thing. And so they did that. Nicky and I didn't have to do standards really because we never cursed.
And
actually,
I'll say why.
we listened to our mom. I always also wanted to.
Hold on.
My mom. I always wanted to, do right by my mom.
Well,
too,
no,
I
but
guess.
here's-
I don't know.
here's-
You know what would be a great progressive version of that in today's day and age? Like if you have kids and you see them swearing, instead of having them do standards, make them come up with 100 different ways of saying that.
That's a
That's
great
interesting.
idea.
I'm gonna put for when I have kids. I'm gonna.
You know what? Here's
remember that.
another really progressive thing.
Max, am I going to get a
Well,
chance?
just
I'm
one-
the judge here,
just
after all.
one last thing.
Order.
One last-
I forgot to bring the gavel.
Order.
One
Yeah, you should have brought the
one
gavel.
last thing before what my dad did to punish our sister often was instead of doing standards, he said you could either do standards or you can memorize the lyrics
To a jazz standard.
a jazz standard.
And now she's a professional.
Yeah, and so
musician.
he made her learn.
And he,
as punishment, she
it's
would
funny,
have to learn jazz
when we were
standards,
younger,
actually,
and
sing them
he,
in front
he
to
tried,
prove that
he tried
to prove that he learned that.
He would try to get us to learn the lyrics to jazz standards sometimes, and
did.
he would say,
I don't really
"You guys are going to thank me for this later on," and we didn't believe it at the time, but we do sing some of the like my sister sings
I don't
Day by
remember-
Day now, and
Right, but I don't remember him doing that.
no,
with us,
no,
but-
it wasn't a punishment for us though, but he would try to get us to
Oh.
do it anyway.
But I don't think we did that back.
Anyway. So I want to say
trying to say.
the story that I remembered for why we ended up not cursing was that I remember we were in first grade and we were on the yard and at school, and this kid that we thought was so funny, his name was Kenny, and he was cursing a lot. He kept saying the F word over and over again. It was making us crack up.
Oh, really?
And we started following him around, and he almost made it like a sing-along kind of thing, and we started marching behind him, cursing, saying the F word behind him a lot. And the yard teacher, Evan Ulster, he said he caught us doing that, and he's like, didn't like that these first graders were cursing, and he took us aside, sat us down, and say, "Hey guys, you can't be saying the F word like that. That's not good." And the way he sort of, in a polite but reprimanding way, and he didn't like chastise us, but he said, "You're not supposed to do that, and I want you to think about that and make sure you don't do that." He said in such a nice way that for me, from then on, I really didn't curse. It was almost like he instilled this thing in me.
Instilled shame.
And I didn't want to let him down. And it eventually came to the point where if I was going to curse, it felt so against who I was as a person that like it would be the kind of thing where, if somebody saw me cursing, they'd be like, "Wow, that's not the Nicky I know."
Huh.
And,
Right,
I have a similar.
true,
I have a similar.
so we're just sharing stories at this
with
point.
a different ending, but it's like bringing things back up.
I know, it really
Well,
is.
it's an interesting
Exploration.
why people curse and why they don't, and
Totally.
exploration of childhood actually.
So this is the summer. I had one of the best summers of my life was like summer after 4th or 5th grade, JCC summer camp. It was like, we were like this trio. Buddy Chaz Gallagher, shout out! You better be listening. and
Every friend you mentioned, you better be listening.
And Sam Goldman.
What about Sam Goldman?
He's probably not listening. We're not in touch anymore.
But you're
anyway,
still friends with this Chaz.
he lives in Mexico, but I still, whatever. I still regard.
I hope I see that stat. Somebody listened from Mexico.
Exactly. Anyway, we're in the parking lot. It's either before or after camp or whatever, and we're just being kids, and we're like talking to each other, and we're swearing probably. And this mother is walking by us in the parking lot, and she overhears us swearing.
It's pronounced sister. No, I'm just kidding. Like as if it were a nun.
Right, yeah, somebody's mother. overhears the bad language, and she kind of scolds us in passing. And Sam, we all stand there silently for a second, and Sam just says, "Dumb shit, motherfucker, asshole, bitch." And
She was doing the George Carlin bit.
And we all just burst into laughter. I don't know if she heard it. I'd like to think she did, and was just so appalled that she just stormed. I blacked out actually after that. So. But it was hilarious to us, you know.
And at that point, you found these words have the power to incite laughter.
Well, yes.
Is that
so
what
this
you,
is
was
the
that
argument. This is okay. Let's get back into the debate mode here. Actually,
Sure, yeah.
Because yes, I do feel that certain curse words, and while it is funny to supplant those curse words with something that is more creative, sometimes a curse word can really add something funny to a bit or laughter and make people laugh. And case in point, as you said, our older brother has this bit. He's
called
a
the Russian
comedian.
alphabet
It's called the
bit.
Russian alphabet.
Check it out. It's hilarious.
And
Ooh, I got
it
something to say about that.
relies on him using. I'll just give a little snippet of it. This isn't me actually using a curse word. I'm just mimicking my brother.
Okay, go ahead.
You're supposed to be pro curse word.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, yeah.
But he says, he's like,
He goes through the
this
alphabet.
is he goes through the alphabet as this Russian guy, and it goes, A, asshole motherfucker, get the fuck out of my house, motherfucker. B, bitch motherfucker, get the fuck out of my house, motherfucker. C, can't you get out of the
No, it's C. Cocksucker motherfucker, get the fuck out of my house.
D, and anyway,
D, do it now, get the fuck out of my house. And it's always ends with get the fuck out of my house.
Right, but it's also but it's also all these just different.
Excuse my language, by the way. I'm
He's
sorry.
using-
Sorry.
not
That
very
wasn't me.
judgely.
That was me just.
Anyway, and also my older brother will contend that he, as himself, will never say a curse word on stage, which is true. But as in character on stage, he will use curse words because that is part of the character. Anyway, the point is, without those curse words,
I'm not saying curse words shouldn't exist.
it wouldn't be funny. With that said, he is impersonating a type of person, and so
Wouldn't that be impersonating? Wouldn't that be what that is? Impersonating a person? Anyway.
no.
Go.
But what I'm
hairs,
saying,
splitting hairs.
Splitting
ladies and
hairs
gentlemen.
over
what
here,
I'm
yeah.
saying is that because he's impersonating somebody, to give that impression a certain verisimilitude,
Sure.
he needs to be able to curse like that person. Whereas if he were using it as himself on stage, he could decide, that would be him deciding whether or not to use a curse word.
Yeah,
You
and
know
I
what
guess
mean?
my point is, I'm not saying curse words shouldn't exist. I'm not even saying one should never use curse words, but I think they should be used mindfully and for effect. And
They shouldn't be filler, but rather they should be used with intention. If you were going,
yeah,
to choose
it
to use
shouldn't
Well,
be.
and-
it shouldn't
well-
be like part of your stutter. It should be it. You know, it's okay to have a stutter. It's okay to say I mean, you know, you try to avoid it and all that kind of stuff.
I mean,
but-
there's a
Like,
lots of.
I'm
There's
saying like a lot.
I try to avoid that.
That's something that I don't like doing
There's something
this,
that we've noticed with podcasts is we say a lot,
you know, is
and
a
I
common
hate that I
one.
say that a lot.
Yeah. Sometimes I start
Actually-
like so.
Say actually. In fact, there's an episode we did.
In fact, I hate in fact.
There's an episode we did a couple years ago about the word literally, and we hate that word
I
because people
hate the
really
word
overuse that
literally.
word now.
I hate it.
But,
But literally's come around for me where I like to use literally incorrectly just to sound stupid, in a similar way of using swear words.
that's funny.
For effect.
That's funny.
That's interesting.
Real quick, just a side note. That Russian alphabet bit, by the way, it's so insane the things that get picked up on TikTok. They're these little kids. And somehow my older brother's friend found this. There's kids lip syncing
To the Russian
Russian alphabet bit. Our older brother's not even credited. In fact, I don't even think these kids know who did this bit. But they're
sure
doing,
that they don't.
They're lip syncing. You know how people do that? They
These
start
lip-syncing
lip-syncing
things.
things. And they're doing that, and there's a lot of views on a lot of kids doing this bit on TikTok, just lip syncing to my older brother's bit, and it's just so bizarre.
That
I
is
mean,
bizarre.
imagine? Yeah. I mean, anyway, sorry. Go on.
it's very interesting, yeah.
So you guys are bringing up some good points.
Can I make also just a funny thing, another funny story from high school?
Look, these
Our 10th grade English teacher was really not a great teacher, and she kind of had
And
this.
she is definitely listening.
Miss Kowalski, you better be listening. Shout out to Miss Kowalski.
I didn't even name her name.
Well,
She knew who she was.
She knew who she was.
Well, she would maybe like this. It almost like she welcomed kind of antagonistic, like cheeky behavior in a way. If it was cheeky, that is. And she one time said something, she was kind of had this sort of, I don't know, sort of acerbic attitude, I guess. And this one time she said something and my friend was like, well, you're just a little bitch, aren't you? And we all cracked up at that. We all started cracking up. And she took it off. She took it like it was as though he were being kind of cheeky and didn't reprimand her for it, actually.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
It was like,
I mean,
whoa,
she was a horrible teacher, but
she was. Well, one time she didn't. I think she said, "I don't feel like doing something today. We're gonna watch the Bernie Mac show." She did that once.
The Bernie Mac show.
Yeah.
Wow. Is there education? I mean, I haven't seen it.
It was
no, she just thought, I don't feel like doing anything today. We're gonna put on the Burning Mac show.
But we watched all kinds of movies, like on rain. I don't even know what. Like on rainy days, we would. There was like, I feel like everybody had Stand and Deliver as one of them. Do you guys remember that movie with?
Yeah. I know
it was like that, and like Selena. I feel like there were a handful
Selena.
of and Twister.
Twister.
Were these movies that on rainy days in like middle school, like if it was a rainy day, they would just keep you in the classroom and make you watch
In elementary school, there was when it was raining. I remember
The
watching.
Sandlot, I remember.
The Sandlot was big, but also Babe was also one. But there was also The Big Green. Is that what it was called?
Oh yeah, The Big Green. It was
The guy
it
from The
starred
Sandlot.
The catcher from The Sandlot. It was a soccer movie, though.
Right.
Anyway,
Sorry. I don't know. Yeah, of course, Twister, the movie where Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton chased
You know who directed this?
tornadoes, essentially.
Twister.
Yeah,
M. Night Shyamalan.
Jan de Bont. He directed Speed. Oh, I just looked this up recently.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I remember watching that movie. By the way,
How are we doing on
Josh
time?
Wexler's house.
We're okay. We're 30 minutes. 30
Okay,
minutes.
so
in, so
30 minutes 8.
30 minutes. In.
What are you like Irish or something?
Irish. I don't know what that
they
is.
do that. They say something like, I remember asking somebody in Ireland before, "Oh, what time is it?" And they're like, "Oh, it's 4:30 or something like that."
No,
It's
they
a weird
say
something
8:15.
8:15 or something like that.
So it's like that means 7:45. I think it's like 30. Half 8. Half 8 means
It's-
like 30 minutes to 8.
It's almost like in French where they say the time. They'll say, like if it's almost 8 o'clock, they'll say, or if it's like 8:15, they'll say il est 20h40, or they'll say it's 20 hours 15. Oh, like if it's 8:15.
You know what's funny? Speaking of Ireland, I was wondering how to tip in Ireland when I was there.
Okay, we're really veering off track,
That's
man.
part of this. It's part of this podcast.
Well, no, we got to split hairs on
All right,
we gotta,
fine.
yeah.
the topic of
if we have-
swearing.
Look, hey, as a prize, if you win this debate, you can tell your story about what happened. It's a funny story, I will admit.
Oh, well, there's two things then there. I was just going to mention just something that was kind of particularly Irish.
Well, now we got to hear it. Let's hear it.
Well, I mean, okay, well.
Can you tell it quick?
Okay, well, I was trying to find out how much to tip, and as I was walking on a sidewalk, and I asked the guy as he was passing me, I was like, "Hey, how much do you tip here?" And he's like, "Oh, you don't really need to tip that much." He's like, if a bartender gives you a good pint, tip to €2 or something. A good pint, as though that was going to be different from another pint. I just thought it was kind of a funny thing that he said. He gives you a good pint,
But also, there's also that.
there's a whole different thing that was really couldn't be more stereotypically Irish for some guy to. I'll just tell it. So, this guy, I got into
you got to tell it fast. Though.
Okay, I was at this bar, and this guy I got into a long conversation with. By the way, the Irish were the nicest people I met in Europe, and I got into this long conversation. And at the end of
They're all listening.
At the end of the night, as I was about to leave, he's like, "Oh, it was good meeting you, Max." And then I swear, he gets this penny out, and he goes, "Here's a lucky penny for you." I thought, what are you
Are you a leprechaun?
Are you kidding
Here's
me?
a lucky penny for you.
And I've kept that to this day. But
Has it brought you good luck?
No, it
Yeah,
hasn't.
well, yeah, he's probably cursed
maybe
you.
he was an
Maybe he was cursed.
Maybe he was the
He cursed you.
leprechaun, starring
Oh.
Warwick Davis, and he was giving you back.
Was Warwick Davis the leprechaun?
He sure was.
Yeah, I did not know that.
Speaking of,
I don't know who that is.
He plays Willow.
Plays
Ah,
Willow, movie
okay.
You know, they
Yeah.
just did a reboot series on Disney+.
I've heard about this. Yeah,
I
I've
heard
never
it was
even
bad.
seen the original.
Oh, you
Willow.
haven't?
Really?
Yeah, no.
I
haven't seen Goonies either.
You haven't seen
Oh
Goonies?
my
Oh,
god, that's insane.
Well,
As Max would say, that's insane in the membranous
okay,
region.
actually, speaking of Goonies, this will get back into the debate.
Okay, cool.
Okay, they are the kids in that movie do
Curse a lot.
curse actually, and I feel like it makes it funnier because it makes it true to life in that movie.
They're
depicting
it's more
kids as
realistic.
they are, and they wouldn't do that in a movie about kids these days. At least I don't think. I mean, that was a kids' movie, really.
Right.
But they were saying the
ratings-
SH word a lot, and I just thought, okay, that's interesting. That I just thought I found it fun and funny that they were showing that, and
Yeah,
that's because
it
that's
seemed
how
more
kids
realistic.
are. It seemed more realistic.
So
Anyway.
in that instance,
I got
maybe-
nothing to contribute because I haven't seen it. But
Oh, but you don't have an argument against that.
I will say I think it's funny when kids like to at a certain until they reach a certain age. It's really funny to hear them.
It's like
curse.
South Park,
and it's
actually.
like maybe because especially when they don't seem to know what it means.
Sure.
You know.
Sure.
Well, let me pose this to you.
I don't know if that relates at all to Goonies because I haven't seen it.
Well, it is like South Park. You know, these third graders are just cursing all day long. There's something funny about.
Yeah, but
Third
that's
graders.
kind of worn off on me. Like,
Sure, I'm
Cartman
just saying-
swearing
Sure.
isn't funny.
Well,
And
let
this
me-
comes back to my point, which is like, it's just kind of like I get it. He's like this insane, terrible person, but I don't know.
Well, let me pose this for you guys. So I teach an after school program. I teach chess to kids, and I also do other things with them, like video games.
What kind of other things?
I do video games and things like that.
Be
too.
very specific.
Yeah. And these high school students, they curse a lot, and I have to tell them, hey, watch your language, and they'll a lot of them. It's interesting, you think that we've evolved as a society and to not using like the word gay as a derogatory term, but they still do that. They still use that
do.
word. They'll
That's
still say, and I'm just using this as an example so you guys understand what I'm saying. They'll say the word retarded. And, over time, those are words that we used when we were kids.
Yeah, I did think- I
you would
assumed-
think that,
Yeah.
but no, even the middle schoolers I taught, they would say those things, and we'd have to say, hey, you shouldn't use those as to mean a bad thing. That's not cool.
Yeah.
But in my head, it sort of does make me laugh a little bit because I'm like, wow, kids are still the same way that they were when we were young.
It is,
and
that is surprising to me. I
and-
really thought that was exorcised.
you think that
yeah.
you would think that, but
No,
it's
and-
really not.
and I would like to
and
hope so because continue.
so
but
I
like,
wanted to
yeah.
pose the question: do you think we should keep instilling this in kids' heads, or do you think
That's just the natural progression
they're
of
going to
kids.
learn? They're going to learn eventually. Hey, it's not cool to use those words.
Maybe that's what it is.
And is there really a point to have to keep telling them? Not
But
to
I will
do-
tell you, as someone who, as an adult, recognizes that those words are terrible.
Right.
Right. Like especially the F
Sure.
word.
Right.
The
Exactly.
F-
FA,
yeah.
and so on.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
the
That
F word
was-
relating to gay people.
Yeah.
I grew up in the 90s and we were throwing that word around all willy-nilly.
A lot.
Well,
and
actually, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure is one of our favorite
Movies.
of all time.
And they use that
They
F
use
word,
that in the
too.
word in a derogatory way, and it does strike you as like, whoa, that is
Dated. That's
very
a dated.
dated
right.
part of the movie.
So like
actually.
today, that word makes me uncomfortable. I don't think it needs to be said. I'm not one of these people who doesn't think it should exist or anything like that.
Sure.
But it makes I don't. Anytime I hear it, I think that you didn't need to say that word, right?
Sure.
But as someone who grew up in the 90s and was conditioned to throw that word around, especially in expression of rage, I find that a lot of the time when that rage is triggered inside of me, the first word that comes to mind unconsciously is that word.
Really?
Yeah. I don't say it, but it's one of the first words that comes to mind.
It's interesting you say that because...
And it's never like in the context of a gay person at all.
No, exactly.
But it's just
like that South Park episode,
knee-jerk,
right?
It's that knee-jerk.
Oh,
It's the first word that's like rage equals this word.
that's interesting.
Interesting.
Well,
Yeah.
well, maybe.
And, but
but
so-
that's an interesting thing is, you know,
And
these
that's
kids,
why it needs. That's why swearing is bad, guys.
Well, that's interesting because you said
And
these,
that's our story, and we're sticking to it.
you saying these kids are using the word gay and retarded still in a derogatory way, but maybe is there something kind of making progress in that they're not associating it with a gay person or a retarded person.
I mean,
No, Max, you're wrong. They
That's how we used it too.
They
No, I know,
did,
but we're making more strides. Obviously, there still needs to be a lot that needs to be done, but in other words,
look. No, Max, you're wrong.
I'm just posing it. I'm not saying. I'm
but
just posing it as an argument.
In school the other day, this kid was like, "Oh, what's your name again?" And our program kind of teaches us, or sometimes to use our first name, like say, "Oh, you call me Mr. Nicky," and he said, "I was like, oh," he's like, "What's your name again?" I was like, "Oh, Mr. Nicky," and he's like, "I'm not gonna call you that. That's gay," and.
You were laughing,
sure,
but it's like because it's inappropriate.
But he was saying that, and it felt like he felt like that was almost an effeminate thing, like to call myself Mr. Nicky. I mean, Nicky is.
How do you know he felt that way?
It seemed like that's the way.
I don't know.
Anyway,
In the kid's
harshness,
defense.
the harshness with which he used that term seemed more than just calling something bad gay. It would seem more like there was some intention behind it where it was mean spirited toward maybe a homosexual kind of thing, you know?
I do think there is nuance, and
maybe we shouldn't be talking about this because none of us are actually gay.
But whatever. Like, I don't think we're demonizing anybody
we're
or
not.
anything like that. And I will say I have a lot of gay friends, but that's it's offensive in its own way. But I do. But I will say this. In that anecdote, it's kind of occurred to me that like in certain scenarios, maybe you're not saying gay is bad and evil, but like it's like shorthand for saying I am not gay, and as someone who is not gay, that doesn't feel right coming out of my mouth.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that. Yeah, like I'm not agreeing with him that Mr. Nicky is like an officially gay thing to say, but that is what he's not saying. That sounds gay and everything about gayness is bad. He's saying that sounds gay, and I am not gay, and therefore I don't feel comfortable saying that. Which is, I'm just saying, it's a little nuanced version of something that is still bad.
Sure.
But I don't think he was being.
You had to. No, Max. These kids, they say they're like.
Why are you saying Max? I'm agreeing with you. Actually, I'm saying I don't know if he was being. I don't think that his thought process was that maybe evolved in that.
I don't think he was going through all those steps.
That specific and nuanced.
You're right. Maybe I'm being a little charitable.
They do things like
maybe I don't know. I don't know this.
We should interview him next episode.
I mean, they'll do things like, and I'm just bringing up examples. They'll say something like, "Oh, don't touch me like that." He's like, "Don't touch me like that. You're gay," or something like that. And I'm like, and
I don't know. There is something,
and I'm thinking, I mean, they shouldn't be doing that. They shouldn't be saying things like that. But at the same time, they are kids, and part of my brain wants to say, kids will be kids, and when they grow older, they'll learn that.
I think
it's like
I think it's on us not to just say, "Hey, you shouldn't say gay because it's bad," or even which the real reason is like because there are people in the world who feel hurt by that when you say that,
right?
For many reasons,
right.
That shouldn't be what you're telling those kids because that isn't accessible to them
Sure.
for their age or whatever.
So what is accessible?
Something like don't you? You sound very inarticulate. Okay, never mind. They'll be like, inarticulate, that's gay.
Hey, they're gonna be like articulate. Yeah, that's
they're gonna say that. They're gonna say that exactly.
They're gonna say that. Yeah. It's like, what does that even
articulate my balls or something.
Yeah.
Oh, you know another joke that they say? I can't believe it's carried over after all these years. They'll say, "Hey, Mr. Nicky, can I have some of these?" And I'm like, "I guess." And they're like, "These nuts." They'll still do that. That's something that's carried over. Kids still say that "these nuts" thing today.
That's funny.
That is funny. There's something funny about it.
And that's not. There's nothing in my mind. I'm laughing too because I'm like, this is the stupidest joke, and it's still used today. We were saying that when we were kids.
Well, that's what. I guess that's what's funny about hearing you saying that these kids are using the word "gay" still is that it
as a derogatory term.
Yeah, it is just, I don't know, maybe it's because it is something from our childhood, and it is, I don't know, there's something funny that it's somehow still being used. It's inappropriate. And
it's inappropriate and it's hurtful, we should say. It's not that it's just like it's a bad word, so you shouldn't say it. It's like there are reasons that it's.
I don't know. There's something funny about a kid. It's like the king's new outfit. What is the thing? Just something about
Emperor's new clothes.
The Emperor's new clothes. It's just they're being unfiltered. They don't know any better, actually. And there's something. There's something funny about There's something funny about them just being genuine. Actually,
I think that's
guess,
true. And with swearing in general, I agree. I think there's something that it speaks to, and whatever. But Nicky's point was that those words that society has moved away from, remain.
Yes,
in those, that's surprising to me as someone who doesn't spend a lot of time with kids.
Because when I graduated from college initially, when I moved back to the Bay Area from Los Angeles, I grew up in Los Angeles, if you don't know, but I moved back to San Francisco, and I was teaching in Oakland and Emeryville. So I would hear kids say these things back then, and I hadn't taught in a while until recently, and it's just interesting to see that, wow, as far as kids are concerned, no real growth has happened in that kind of area of what not to say and what to say. I will say that we should maybe
we have about 5
wrap
minutes
up. We should
left,
do some closing arguments. I know that the structure of this episode has really kind of been lost as far as the moderator and counter argument.
But
is concerned.
we split some hairs. Did we split hairs?
I think we did some splitting of hairs. Okay. Maybe we got into kind of the nitty gritty of things.
We got into the nitty gritty. I don't know if it's splitting hairs.
I mean, we've delved into some uncharted territory that I didn't think we were even going to delve into, which is using these words that maybe shouldn't be used at all ever.
Which I don't. I would never say I'm an absolutist.
But I don't know about saying. I don't even like saying at all ever. That's. I don't like absolutes like that. So anyway. So,
excuse me. Am I making a closing argument?
Yeah. Sure, and make the point that you wanted to say.
Okay, here's what I think. I think
keep it tight.
Okay. I think that I generally. Well, I'm making an argument on the side I'm trying to make. That's my
yeah. And then if you want to,
okay. Well, here's
keep it tight.
Okay. As
this is,
I think
keeping
sometimes
it tight.
bad words can help you let off steam. And you were making an argument before that it's funny to hear people be creative, but if you're doing it to yourself, I think you're just letting off some steam, and you don't want to suppress that and repress those feelings, because that's not good to bottle up that bad energy. You want to let it go. And here's another thing is sometimes, as we've talked ad nauseum about, bad words can make things funny.
They can,
but as long as you're not overusing them,
right?
Sure.
As a reminder, Nicky is the judge.
Sure. Yes. Sorry. Go on.
Does this reflect exactly what Max believes? No, I have much more things to say, but we'll talk about it after our closing arguments here.
Great. My closing argument goes as follows. As someone who swore a lot, like up until, yesterday and through today, and will probably continue, to be honest, it's not just about... Yes, there are more creative ways to put things out in the world and all that kind of stuff. But as someone who has been conditioned to think certain words that bring shame to me and like don't actually help, like I would much rather that if my rage trigger put the word toilet in my head, I personally would be so much happier in life than what exists right now, which is those go-to words that were ingrained in me in the 90s. So for that reason alone, because language is so much about conditioning, the less you revert to using those kinds of bad languages is
Sure.
And the more, and I'm not saying never use it, but use it very mindfully and with great purpose.
Okay, I want to say as the moderator, as the moderator, I want to say that I think you guys both made good points. I will say yes, cursing it can be used for comedic effect and sometimes in a very funny way, and I do think it's funny. But Max, I do think the letting off steam thing. I can poke some holes in that argument. Yes, it does help me let off steam sometimes if I curse out loud to myself, but I am a big advocate, and something I started doing earlier this year is transcendental meditation, and it teaches you not to necessarily bottle up this stuff, but rather just make it disappear. And so you're not bottling up this anger, but it relaxes you in such a way that you're not even thinking about that anymore. It's not there anymore. And so I think meditation is a very good thing and very good technique to practice, especially in transcendental meditation, which I have found very helpful.
Shout out to TM.
We have
David Lynch, I hope you're listening.
Less than a minute here, just so you know.
And
Thanks for tuning in.
I think you should use it to calm your anger. I think that
Anyway, we all have some great points. There's a much more nuance than I think those final arguments. But for right now, why don't you tune in and listen and comment about it and tell us what you think about cursing.
Thank you for tuning in to another edition of Splitting Hairs with Max, Nicky, and Nickon.